This video was requested by a Patreon member.
Water pump bolts. Let's set the record straight, dispel some myths, and subside some fears. They are different lengths. There are 9 bolts around the water pump. An extra hole here just to confuse us. And one of the bolts hides behind an idler pulley. Normally there'd be a pulley on here. So there are basically 2 sizes of bolts. The large ones, E12, and the smaller ones, E10. The E10s are all the same length. The E12s, there is a longer bolt right here. And as we look at it, we can see this pump housing here is closer to me. This part of the pump housing here is closer to the engine block. Now, if you don't have the bolts or don't have the right bolts, this is what you need. 8mm diameter, 90mm length is the long one. It goes right there under the idler pulley. 8mm diameter, 80mm length goes in the other 3 large holes right there beneath the other bottom. Oops, over here and up here. So the angle you're going to see it, these 2 and these 2. And then finally the little bolts. These are all 6mm diameter, 25mm length. All the bolts go around starting about 12 o'clock. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, you can see here I've taken all the bolts out and put them on a diagram traced around a water pump gasket, bolt holes and everything, and put every bolt where it needs to go as I took it out. You can see this one bolt is longer over here. That goes right here. And if we take the other big bolts and line them all up, we'll see they're all the same length except that one. Now the other 5 bolts don't matter. They're all the same length, same diameter, same size. Everything's the same on those. So those 5 bolts go in the holes they fit. You'll find these larger bolts don't fit in the wrong holes. So there's really no way of messing that up. The smaller bolts might fall in the big holes, but they're not going to bite anything in there. They're not even going to reach the threads. So you're not going to mess that up. The only bolt you can get wrong is this longest one, and it goes right here, hiding under the idler pulley. Now let's talk about what happens if somebody did it wrong. Somebody put this longer bolt in one of these other holes. Well, they bolt into the engine here. They come all the way through this plate, and they'll poke out here, 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 and here. So we transfer that up to the engine block now. It's these 4 bolts. This one, if you drill too deep, you're just going into air. This one, same thing, just going into air back here behind the engine block. This one over here, same thing, just getting into air behind the engine block. If you drill too deep in there, like drilling a broken bolt out, or, well, you're not going to just drive a bolt too far in there and break it, because that's a steel cast block. This over here is the longer bolt. This is the top bolt right underneath the high pressure fuel pump. And that one could be catastrophic if you drill too deep. We'll take that out of there, and you can see in the hole, it's cast iron block. You're not going to accidentally drive a bolt in there too deep. It'll strip the threads before it breaks through into the water jacket. What I'm calling bolt number 1, there's 1 of them. It's the longest one, longest single bolt, 8mm times 90mm length. What I'm calling number 2, there are 3 of them. It is also an 8mm bolt with an 80mm length. And number 3, there are 5 of these. They are 6mm bolts at a 25mm length.